My wife tried to get my son arrested to force him out, so I let the truth end her Reddit stories. A staged accusation was meant to label a quiet teenager as dangerous. Hidden evidence turned a calculated lie into something far more permanent. Hi, I'm Marcus, 42, and 3 months ago my wife and her daughter tried to get my 14-year-old son arrested for a crime he didn't commit, just to force him out of the house. They thought they were clever. They thought I'd fold. They forgot who they married. For clarity, no sexual accusation here. They tried to frame him for breaking into Eva's room, stealing money, and damaging property, a serious enough crime for cops, school discipline, and he's a dangerous kid, rumors to spread like wildfire. My wife Kelly, 39, and her daughter Eva, 18, had been building resentment toward my son Liam for years. Liam's a quiet kid, smart, gentle, artistic. The type who apologizes when other people bump into him. But he'd gotten taller, bigger, more confident, and suddenly Kelly couldn't hide how threatened she felt by a teenager who refused to shrink anymore. Eva didn't help. When she was younger, her whining was annoying. At 18, it weaponized into something uglier, entitlement dipped in venom. She didn't just dislike Liam, she hated that I loved him. Openly. Consistently. Without apology. The resentment simmered for years. But the boiling point happened one Tuesday afternoon after school. I got home from work and something felt staged. Kelly and Eva sitting stiffly on the couch. Liam nowhere in sight. Kelly's phone face down on the table like she was hiding fresh fingerprints. "We need to talk," she said. That fake serious tone she used whenever she was about to manipulate someone. Eva took a deep breath, dramatic, shaky, badly rehearsed. "Liam broke into my room," she said. "He smashed my jewelry box and stole $200 from my drawer." My stomach dropped, but not because I believed it. Because of how absolutely sloppy the lie was. Liam barely goes into his own room without asking. Kelly jumped in immediately. "We already called the police. They'll want to question him tonight." That was their mistake. They moved before checking whether I already knew their playbook. I wasn't just a dad. I was an intelligence analyst. And 2 months before this little performance, I'd installed hidden cameras in the common areas, legal, documented, reviewed with a lawyer. Not for revenge, but because I'd already noticed patterns. Whispers. Cruel comments. Little setups. Petty sabotage. I'd been gathering data. So while Kelly tried to crank up the righteous indignation, I opened the camera feed on my phone. Scrolled back to the time window they claimed the break-in happened. There was Liam. Sitting in the living room drawing for 2 straight hours. Never leaving. Never even walking toward the hallway. Then there was Eva. Carrying a hammer into her room. Walking out with a torn-up jewelry box. Stuffing cash into her backpack. Crying on command before running downstairs. All in HD. All timestamped. All saved to a cloud server they didn't know existed. I didn't interrupt their little scene. Didn't yell. Didn't expose anything yet. Because when people think they're winning, they get sloppy. And when they get sloppy, I get everything I need. "Where's Liam?" I asked. "In his room," Kelly said. "He knows what he did." No, I thought. He knows what you did. This wasn't just going to be a divorce. This was going to be dismantling. Piece by piece. I didn't go upstairs right away. Not because I doubted Liam. I didn't for a second. But because I needed to see how far Kelly and Eva were willing to push this. "Before I talk to him," I said calmly, "show me the damage." Eva perked up like an actress hitting her cue. She practically leapt off the couch. "This way," she said, her voice trembling with totally manufactured fragility. I followed her upstairs. Kelly trailed behind us, arms crossed like a prison guard escorting an inmate. Eva's room was a disaster, but not the kind a panicked 14-year-old would create. No overturned furniture, no forced entry, no scattered items. Just one jewelry box smashed cleanly in the center of the room, too cleanly, and a drawer pulled halfway open. Staged. Sloppy. Amateur hour. See? Eva said, pointing dramatically. He came in while I was in the shower. I heard noises, but I was too scared to confront him. Kelly chimed in, voice dripping with disgust. He's out of control, Marcus. Your son has violent tendencies. That line alone almost made me laugh. Liam once apologized to a lamp he knocked over. Instead of reacting, I crouched by the jewelry box and examined it like a forensic tech. No ragged edges. No scatter pattern. Just one decisive impact. Exactly like the footage showed, Eva smashing it with a hammer she carried into the room herself. Interesting, I murmured. Kelly stiffened. What does that mean? It means, I said, standing slowly, this break looks intentional. Controlled. Not panicked or chaotic. Eva's eyes widened just enough to betray fear. Before they could regroup, I walked down the hall to Liam's room. He was sitting on the floor, knees pulled up, eyes red like he'd been crying but trying hard not to. The moment he saw me, he started talking fast. Dad, I swear, I didn't go in her room. I didn't take anything. I didn't break anything. I didn't even walk upstairs except for homework. I sat beside him. Put a hand on his shoulder. Felt him shaking. You don't have to convince me, I said. I know. His shoulders collapsed in relief, but then tensed again. Am I in trouble with the police? And that was the moment my blood really boiled, not from the accusation, but from the fact that Kelly and Eva had made a 14-year-old believe he might be arrested over a lie. No, I said quietly. You're not in trouble. But they are. He blinked. What do you mean? I took a breath. It was time to let him in on the secret. You remember when I told you months ago that I was making sure you'd always be protected in this house? He nodded slowly. I installed cameras in the common areas, I said. Legal ones. I've been recording everything since February. His eyes widened. You have proof? Oh, I said, standing. I have more than proof. I have them confessing with their stupidity. I told him to stay in his room. Not because he was unsafe, but because what was about to happen downstairs wasn't something a 14-year-old needed to witness. When I reached the bottom of the stairs, Kelly and Eva were waiting, smug, confident, certain they had me cornered. Marcus, Kelly said, we need to call the police now. The longer we wait, the worse this looks. I pulled my phone from my pocket. Both of them leaned forward eagerly, mistaking this for surrender. I opened the camera app. Scrolled to the footage. Let the preview start autoplaying. And I watched the exact second their faces fell. Eva carrying the hammer. Eva smashing the jewelry box. Eva sliding money into her backpack. Eva crying on cue. Kelly coaching her off-screen, audible enough to hear. Kelly's face turned the color of spoiled milk. Marcus, she whispered. You're misunderstanding. No, I said. You're lying. And you just committed criminal false reporting. They froze. Completely still. Like deer finally realizing the headlights aren't slowing down. You tried to frame my son, I said. You tried to get him arrested. Expelled. Labeled. Kelly opened her mouth, shut it, then tried again. Marcus, we didn't. Save it. I stepped toward them. Because now? I'm done protecting your feelings. This wasn't going to be a quiet divorce. This was going to be extraction. And they had no idea what was coming. Kelly and Eva froze in the living room while the footage kept looping on my phone, each repeat hammering another nail into the coffin they built for themselves. Eva smashing her own jewelry box. Eva stuffing cash into her backpack. Kelly whispering, remember, stick to the story. Every second of their scheme preserved in crystal clear HD. I paused the video. Silence swallowed the room. Then Eva cracked first. It was just a mistake, she stammered. We didn't mean for it to go this far. Really? I asked. Because filing a false police report is pretty far. Kelly snapped out of her shock, anger flaring like a reflex. Turn that off, she hissed. You had no right to record us. Oh, I absolutely had the right, I said. Common areas. Reviewed by my attorney. Fully admissible. Her mouth opened, then closed. Marcus, she tried again, softening her voice. We were just trying to teach Liam a lesson. No, I corrected. You tried to destroy him. Eva's knees buckled. She dropped onto the couch, holding her head. Are the police really coming? She whispered. Yes, I said. Because you called them. And when they arrive, I'll be giving them the footage you just saw. Kelly panicked. No, you can't do that. You'll ruin Eva's entire future. I stepped closer. You were perfectly willing to ruin Liam's. That's different. She spat. How? Kelly didn't answer. She just glared, rage mixing with fear. And then the doorbell rang. All three of us froze. One sharp chime that sliced through the air. They had arrived. 2 uniformed officers stood on the porch. Kelly instantly went into performance mode, wiping non-existent tears, pushing Eva forward like a wounded lamb. Officers! Thank you for coming. The boy. Stop talking, I said, stepping ahead of her. The officers looked between us, unsure who was leading this circus. Sir, the taller one said, we received a call about a possible break-in and theft involving a minor? I nodded. Yes. And the report is false. I have evidence proving it. Kelly gasped dramatically, but one officer shot her a warning look. Ma'am, let him speak. I held up my phone. This footage shows the alleged victim staging the entire scene, destroying her own property, pocketing cash, and coordinating the story with her mother. The officers leaned in. I played the video. 10 seconds in, their faces changed. 30 seconds in, they looked disgusted. By the end, one officer exhaled sharply. Ma'am, he said slowly, turning to Kelly, did you coach your daughter into making a false statement? Kelly sputtered. Eva shook violently. This is a serious offense. The officer continued. False reporting. Attempting to implicate a minor. Wasting police resources. Eva burst into tears. Kelly dropped her mask completely. You don't understand, she snapped. Liam ruins everything. Marcus only cares about that boy. He needed consequences. That, the officer interrupted, is not how the law works. The second officer stepped toward Eva. Miss, we need to take a statement from you separately, and I strongly advise you to think very carefully before lying again. Eva broke immediately. It was Mom's idea, she sobbed. I didn't want to, but she said Marcus would never leave unless we made Liam look dangerous. There it was. The whole truth detonated in the air like a grenade. Kelly spun toward Eva, betrayed. Eva recoiled, terrified. The officers exchanged a grim look. Sir, one of them said to me quietly, we'll be filing a report documenting everything. There will be follow-up. Charges are possible. Understood, I said. Liam appeared at the top of the stairs then, silent, scared, watching everything. I looked up at him and said loud enough for the officers to hear. Son, start packing. We're leaving tonight. Kelly lunged forward. You can't just take him. Oh, I said coldly. Watch me. This was no longer a home. It was a crime scene. And I was done trying to repair it. This was the moment everything flipped. From this point forward, Kelly and Eva weren't the ones plotting. I was. And unlike them, I didn't make mistakes. I sent Liam upstairs to pack, game console, clothes, sketchbooks, the framed photo of his mom he kept on his nightstand. Everything that mattered. Everything I could carry out of that collapsing house before the toxicity tried to swallow him again. Downstairs, Kelly paced like a cornered animal. You can't take him, she snapped. This is his home. We're still a family. No, I said. This is your nest of resentment. And the moment you coached your adult daughter into framing a child, you forfeited the right to use the word family. Eva sat on the couch, face in her hands, sobbing. Not because she regretted what she'd done, but because she'd finally realized there were consequences. The police left after taking statements. Liam's name cleared before the accusation could spread. They'd contact me later with follow-up paperwork and next steps. But they left with one final warning directed squarely at Kelly. Do not contact the boy directly. We have all the footage. Attempting to influence or intimidate him will escalate this case significantly. When the doors shut behind them, silence fell again. Kelly looked at me with a wild mix of fury and desperation. You think you're some hero because you caught us on camera? No, I said. I think I'm a father who protected his son from you. She stepped forward until she was inches from my face. You're ruining Eva's life. No, I repeated calmly. Eva made choices. And she's legally an adult. Adults face consequences. Eva wailed louder. You don't understand. Kelly hissed. She did it for us, for our family. Our family, I cut in, was finished the moment you decided to sacrifice Liam to get what you wanted. Kelly's jaw quivered. Her eyes flared with something unhinged. You've always loved him more than me. More than us. And thank God for that, I said. Because if I hadn't, you'd be calling the police on him from a holding cell right now. She lunged for my phone. I grabbed her wrist mid-swipe. No, I said, the quiet kind of no that ends conversations. You don't touch me. You don't touch Liam. You don't touch anything of mine ever again. She jerked back like she'd been burned. Marcus, please, we can fix this. She tried, voice shaking. We wanted space, we wanted him gone, things were tense. I cut her off. You wanted him gone, I said. You wanted me pliable. You wanted the house, the money, the control. Her silence was confirmation. Instead, I said, you're getting lawyers, charges, and a judge who's about to watch every minute of footage you handed me. Her face broke. Rage, panic, realization all twisting at once. Marcus, she whispered, don't do this. You already did, I said. Upstairs, Liam stepped out of his room with his backpack on. He looked at me, then at Kelly. She tried to speak, to say something motherly, something soft, something manipulative, but nothing came out. Not even she believed her own script anymore. Come on, kid, I said. We're leaving. He came down the stairs, careful, quiet, holding the hoodie of his mother's that had survived years of damage, including Eva's cruelty months before. Kelly stepped forward slightly. Liam. He flinched backward. And that was it. The last thread she could have pulled snapped. I opened the front door. Liam walked through it without looking back. I followed him. And when the door closed behind us, it felt like oxygen returning to lungs that had collapsed years ago. We drove to a hotel, cheap, quiet, safe. Liam sat on the bed and said, Dad, is she going to come after us? I sat beside him. No, I said. Now I go after her. Because this wasn't just leaving. This wasn't just a divorce. This was the beginning of a controlled demolition. Every lie Kelly and Eva had built their lives on was about to collapse. And I was holding the detonator. The first morning in the hotel felt strangely calm. No slammed cabinet doors. No passive-aggressive sighs from Kelly. No Eva stomping around like the world owed her rent. Just silence. Safe silence. Liam woke up slowly, blinking at the ceiling like he couldn't believe we were somewhere peaceful. Dad, are we going back? No, I said. Not today. Maybe not ever. He nodded, relieved. That told me everything I needed to know. I dropped him at school, full backpack, clean clothes, a granola bar he actually got to eat instead of having it snatched by Eva because that's my brand. Before he went inside, he hesitated. Dad, what if they tell the school anyway? What if kids find out? They won't, I said. And even if they tried, I already headed that off. Yesterday, while the house was burning down figuratively, I'd been putting out fires strategically. Step 1, protect Liam's reputation. Step 2, secure legal ground. Step 3, begin the offensive. With Liam safe for the day, I sat in my car and started making calls. First call, my lawyer. I summarized everything: the footage, the false report, the police involvement. He whistled. Marcus, this isn't just grounds for divorce. This is grounds for emergency custody, a restraining order, and potential criminal charges. You have ironclad evidence. I know, I said. Prepare everything. And Kelly? He asked. Oh, I said. I'm not offering her a settlement. She's getting the bare legal minimum. Understood. Second call, the detective assigned to the case. I sent him the full unedited footage via secure upload. He called back 20 minutes later. Mr. Kane, this is some of the clearest evidence of deliberate staging I've ever seen. We're forwarding this to the prosecutor. You should expect charges. For Kelly or Eva? I asked. Possibly both. Good. Third call, the school principal. Before rumors could spread, I went straight to her office and played the footage. Her face tightened with every second. Thank you for bringing this directly to me, she said. This will stay strictly confidential. Liam will not be punished, questioned, or exposed to any of this. I'll make sure of it. I walked out of the school fully aware that I'd just fortified every entry point Kelly could attack through. If she tried to go around me, she'd hit a wall of professionals already briefed and armed with the truth. By lunchtime, my phone buzzed. A text from Kelly. We need to talk. Things got out of hand. Come home. Savage timing. I responded. Send all communication through my lawyer. Do not contact me directly again. 60 seconds later. Marcus, stop being dramatic. Eva is traumatized. Traumatized? She'd almost dragged a minor into a criminal investigation. My reply was simple. Do not contact my son. Then I blocked her. That evening, Liam and I went to a pizza place near the hotel. He talked, really talked, for the first time in months. About school, about a friend who cracked him up, about the art project he was excited for. No tension. No eyes watching him like he needed to justify his existence. Halfway through a slice, he asked, Dad, what's going to happen to Kelly and Eva? I didn't sugarcoat it. They're going to face consequences. Real ones. And you're never going to be near them again. He chewed slowly. Swallowed. Nodded. Good. Later that night, I got an email from my lawyer. Emergency custody approved. Kelly served by 8 a.m. tomorrow. Proceeding with divorce filing immediately. Perfect. The dominoes were falling exactly as I'd planned. Kelly thought the worst day of her life was when the police left the house. She had no idea her actual worst day was coming. And it would start at 8:01 a.m. At 8:01 a.m. sharp, my phone buzzed. Process server. Papers delivered. I pictured Kelly answering the door in her favorite silk robe, expecting a package or a pity visit from a neighbor. And instead getting slapped in the face with emergency custody order, temporary restraining order, divorce petition, notification of pending criminal investigation, a full legal freight train. 10 seconds later, my phone exploded with calls from unknown numbers. Blocked. 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 Then a text from an unblocked number, Eva's. Please tell my mom what's happening. She's freaking out. I didn't reply. Deleted. Blocked. Actions have consequences. They were just meeting theirs. I drove Liam to school with the windows down, something simple, something normal. The whole way, he kept glancing around like the world suddenly felt open. Safe. Dad? He asked. Are we ever going back home? Not while Kelly's in it, I said. And pretty soon she won't be. He let out a long breath. Relief. Real relief. The kind kids shouldn't need to feel at 14. After dropping him off, I headed to base for work. I'd already informed my commanding officer of the situation. He pulled me into his office the moment he saw me. "You good?" he asked. "I'm fine," I said. "Focused." "Good. Because if Kelly tries to use your job against you, she won't get far. You've already filed everything through proper channels. You're covered." I'd moved in silence, carefully, strategically, while Kelly assumed she was the only one who knew how to manipulate. By noon, my lawyer called. "Marcus," he said, "you're going to want to hear this. Kelly showed up at the courthouse screaming that you hacked her home. Claims the videos are fake." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Did the judge buy it?" "Oh God, no," he said. "We played 10 seconds of unedited hallway footage showing her coaching Eva. The judge asked her point blank, 'Do you deny this is your voice?' She froze. I could imagine that face. The face she made when cornered. Shrinking pupils, clenched jaw, swallowed words. She requested an emergency hearing to reverse the custody order. My lawyer continued. The judge denied it outright. Beautiful. And Marcus, he added, the prosecutor is formally reviewing charges for both Kelly and Eva. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. Justice and revenge aren't the same thing. But sometimes they walk in the same direction. That afternoon, I picked Liam up from school. He tossed his backpack in the car and said, "Dad, something weird happened." I stiffened. "What?" A staff member pulled me aside. She said she couldn't give details, but she wanted me to know the school supports me. And that I'm safe. The principal had kept her word. The staff knew, but in a protected, private, no rumors allowed way. "You are safe," I said. "No one is ever going to hurt you again." He nodded slowly. "I believe you." Back at the hotel, Liam worked on homework while I sat at the tiny desk preparing my next moves. Filing for exclusive occupancy of the house. Protecting Liam from further contact. Subpoenaing Kelly's texts with Eva. Freezing joint accounts. Gathering all camera footage into organized evidence files. This was methodical. Precise. Controlled. Around 7 p.m., I got an email from my lawyer. Subject update Kelly. I opened it. Kelly had shown up at the police station to clear her name. But instead of exonerating herself, she'd contradicted her own report 3 times, slipped up about the timeline, and accidentally admitted she encouraged Eva to take action. The detective documented the entire interview. She walked in trying to save herself. She walked out closer to handcuffs. I closed my laptop and looked over at Liam. He was sketching something, a mountain scene, peaceful, sprawling. "How's it going, kiddo?" I asked. He smiled. "Good. It's easier to draw when the house isn't loud." I didn't tell him the truth. We might never go back. Not to that version of home. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. Court. Pressing charges. Dismantling Kelly's lies in full daylight. But for tonight? My son was safe. Sleeping peacefully for the first time in months. And I was just getting started. The next morning, I walked into the courthouse with a binder so thick it looked like I was suing an entire corporation, not just one woman and her malicious daughter. My lawyer met me at the door, nodding with the quiet confidence of a man who already knew we'd won before the hearing even started. "Kelly's here," he murmured. "Alone?" He smirked. "Her lawyer is reconsidering his choices." Translation. She'd lied to him, too. We entered the courtroom. Kelly sat at the respondent's table, hair messy, eyes wild, wearing the same cardigan she'd been in yesterday. Eva sat behind her, shoulders shaking, mascara streaked down her face. They looked smaller than I'd ever seen them. Not because I'd beaten them, but because the truth had. The judge reviewed the files silently, flipping pages one by one. Every so often she paused at a screenshot, a transcript, a video still. Kelly flinched each time, like she was being slapped. Finally, the judge spoke. "Mrs. Carter," she began, voice flat, unimpressed. "You are accused of weaponizing the legal system, coercing your daughter into participating in a false report, and creating a hostile environment for a minor in your home." Kelly opened her mouth, probably to cry, manipulate, or blame me, but the judge held up a hand. "Don't speak." "Not yet." Kelly closed her mouth. The judge turned to me. "Mr. Carter, your son is currently safe?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And you intend to maintain full legal and physical custody?" "Yes." She nodded. "Good. Because the court agrees that returning him to a home with Mrs. Carter would pose immediate risk of emotional and psychological harm." Kelly gasped like she'd just been stabbed. This wasn't over, but it was close. My lawyer stepped forward. "Your Honor, we request exclusive occupancy of the marital home, full temporary custody for my client, and strict no-contact orders to protect Mr. Carter and Liam from harassment, retaliation, or intimidation from both Kelly and Eva. We also request that the footage submitted be forwarded to the district attorney for criminal review." The judge didn't even blink. "Granted. All of it." Kelly choked out. "You can't do this. I'm his wife. That house is mine too." "No, Mrs. Carter," the judge replied. "It was never yours. And after your actions, it never will be." Eva sobbed behind her. The judge continued. "This court strongly recommends that Mrs. Carter seek legal representation for the impending criminal charges." Kelly slumped in her chair like her bones had melted. But then, because she couldn't help herself, she snapped. "This is your fault, Marcus. You poisoned Liam against us. You planted those cameras because you wanted us to fail. You're a narcissist." The judge banged her gavel. "One more outburst and I will have you removed." Kelly fell silent. The hearing lasted another 20 minutes as the judge formalized the orders. When it ended, Kelly rushed after me in the hallway. Marshals cut her off, but she screamed over them. "You think you've won? You think Liam wants you? You're destroying this family." I turned slowly, looked her dead in the eyes, and said, "You destroyed it the moment you decided my son was disposable." She stumbled back like I'd hit her. The marshals escorted her out of the building. Eva stayed sitting on a bench, sobbing quietly with her head in her hands. When I walked past, she whispered without looking up, "I'm sorry." Not an excuse. Not a plea. Not a performance. Just a broken truth too late to matter. I didn't reply. Didn't stop. Didn't forgive. Some words only belonged to the past. Outside, the sky was bright. Cold. Sharp. Like the world was resetting itself. My lawyer handed me a copy of the finalized orders. "You did everything right," he said. "And now? You've won every inch that matters." I drove back to the hotel, picked Liam up, and told him the news. "So, we can go home now?" he asked. "Yeah," I said softly. "We can go home." He nodded. Then smiled. A real one. We packed our bags, grabbed takeout, and drove to the house, the first time it felt like ours. The locks had already been changed. We stepped inside to silence. Peace. Space that belonged to us again. Liam dropped his backpack, kicked off his shoes, and said, "It feels bigger." "It is," I said. "Everything is." That night, he slept without nightmares. I barely slept at all. Because tomorrow, the civil suit began. And I was nowhere near finished making Kelly regret the day she tried to destroy my son. I woke up the next morning to a house that finally felt empty in the right way. No tension humming in the walls. No footsteps I had to interpret. No whispers behind doors. Just peace. Liam was in the kitchen making toast, burning it, as usual. He looked up when I walked in. "Dad, do you think Kelly and Eva are gone for good? Legally?" I said. "Yes." "Emotionally?" "Eventually." He nodded like he was filing that away to think about later. But I didn't have time to linger on it. Because today was the day Kelly and Eva would face what came after the courtroom orders, the civil suit, the financial consequences, the part they never believed would touch them. My lawyer met me outside the courthouse, holding a thick folder. "You ready?" he asked. More than ready. Kelly showed up late, looking disheveled and furious. No lawyer this time, she couldn't afford one anymore. Eva walked behind her, eyes down, steps small. Like she'd aged 5 years in 5 weeks. The judge assigned was the same one from the protection order hearing. Her expression when she saw Kelly again could be described as professionally exhausted. We weren't arguing guilt, that had already been established. Today was about damages. We presented therapy costs, legal fees, my missed work hours, the damage to Liam's reputation, the psychological impact documented by a child specialist, and the kicker, the punitive damages for intentional, malicious conduct. The judge asked Kelly if she wanted to respond. She stood, chin trembling, and said, "This is excessive. He's trying to ruin me because I made a mistake." My lawyer stood. "Your Honor," he said calmly, "false accusations against a minor are not mistakes. They are weapons." The judge nodded. Agreed. She turned to Kelly. "You attempted to remove a child from his home through deceit. You endangered his mental health, his safety, and his future. This court sees no reason to treat your actions lightly." Eva's shoulders collapsed in on themselves. Kelly looked ready to combust. The judge continued, "I am ordering full damages as outlined in the plaintiff's filing, plus punitive damages at the court's discretion." Kelly shot up. "You can't do that!" The judge gave her a look that could curdle milk. "Mrs. Carter, I strongly advise you to stop speaking." The final ruling totaled more money than Kelly had ever seen in her life. She'd be paying for the next decade. Possibly 2. Eva, because she was legally an adult when she filed the report, was included in the damages, but hers were reduced with the condition that she complete her diversion program and maintain a clean record. When we walked out of the courtroom, Kelly stormed after me. "This isn't over, Marcus!" I didn't turn around. "Yes," I said. "It is." She stopped walking. Stopped breathing, almost. Because she knew I meant it. Outside, I exhaled for what felt like the first time all year. My lawyer asked, "Feel satisfied?" "Not satisfied," I said. "But my son is safe." "That's enough." Liam was waiting at home, sketchbook in his lap. When he saw me, he sat up. "How'd it go?" "Officially?" I said. "They can't touch us again." He let out a breath that sounded like freedom. "You want to order pizza?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Let's celebrate surviving hell." He grinned, big, bright, unguarded. And for the first time since before Kelly and Eva entered our lives, the house echoed with laughter instead of fear. We ate pizza. Watched a movie. Argued about toppings. Normal things. Beautiful things. That night, Liam taped his art competition ribbon to the wall above his desk. "Dad?" he said quietly. "Thanks for fighting for me." "Always," I said. "That's my job." He nodded. "I'm glad you're my dad." My chest tightened. "And I'm glad you're my kid." He smiled, climbed into bed, and slept like someone who finally believed he was safe. I stood in the hallway for a minute, listening to the silence, the good kind. The war was over. We were still standing. And tomorrow belonged to us. 2 days after the civil judgment, life settled into something that almost felt normal again. Almost. But trauma doesn't dissolve on a judge's signature. It lingers in corners, in shadows, in small moments where you suddenly remember what could have happened. I knew Liam needed a reset, not just legally, not just physically, but emotionally. So I signed him up for a weekend art workshop at the local community center. He'd been too hesitant before, worried about being around new people, about being judged. Not anymore. On Saturday, he stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of a shirt he secretly liked but always thought was too noticeable. "You look good," I told him. He shrugged but didn't hide the smile. When we got to the workshop, he hesitated at the door. "What if they don't like me?" "They will," I said. "And if they don't, you'll handle it. You're stronger than you think." He stared at the floor, then nodded. "I'll try." He walked in, shoulders tense. 5 minutes later, I peeked through the window. He was laughing, talking, sketching, alive in a way he hadn't been in years. I went home, made coffee, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I let myself breathe without checking over my shoulder. That peace lasted 30 minutes. Then my doorbell rang. When I opened it, a man in uniform stood on the porch. Detective Harris. Same one who handled Eva's false report. "Mr. Carter," he said. "Mind if I come in?" My stomach tightened. "Is something wrong?" "Nothing on your end. But you'll want to hear this." Inside, he sat on the couch and opened a thin folder. "We executed a search warrant on Kelly's devices as part of the criminal review." I nodded. I already knew they'd seized her laptop and phone. "What did you find?" I asked. He hesitated. "Enough to reinforce the charges, and then some." He slid a printed screenshot across the table. A text thread. "Kelly to her sister. I'm done with Marcus protecting that kid. If ruining his life is what it takes to get him out, then so be it." Another one. "Once Liam is gone, Marcus will stop defending him. We'll finally be a real family." And then another. "Eva just has to cry at the right moment. Police will believe her. Marcus won't be able to save him this time." My hands went cold. This wasn't suspicion. This wasn't resentment. This was premeditated. "Jesus," I whispered. Harris nodded. "The DA is adding conspiracy and malicious prosecution to the charges." "So she's going to jail?" "Very likely, yes." I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Relief. Rage. Vindication. All tangled together. "Thank you," I said eventually. Harris closed the folder. "One more thing. Eva told us yesterday she wants to make a full written statement about her mother's involvement. She says she wants to take responsibility." I didn't reply. Because I didn't know yet whether that was remorse or desperation. After the detective left, I sat in the quiet house, my house, and realized something. For the first time, the consequences were out of my hands. Kelly had built her own fate. Eva had chosen hers. And Liam. Liam finally had his future back. At 5 p.m. I picked him up from the workshop. He ran to the car, holding a drawing, a mountain range at sunset. "Dad," he said breathlessly. "A girl in the class said I should enter this in a student exhibit. She thinks it's good." I looked at the drawing. It wasn't good. It was exceptional. "You should," I said. He beamed. On the drive home, he hummed to himself, something he hadn't done in years. He watched the world pass by through the window, not like someone guarding himself, but like someone finally free. After dinner, he asked, "Dad, do you think I could invite some kids over next weekend? Like friends?" "Absolutely," I said. He smiled. And that was it. Nothing dramatic. Nothing cinematic. Just a kid asking if it was okay to have a normal life again. We cleaned up the dishes. Watched TV. Argued about which action movie was objectively the best. Liam voted for John Wick. He was correct. When he went to bed, he paused at the doorway. "Dad?" "Yeah, bud? Thanks for not letting them ruin me." I walked over and pulled him into a hug, tight, steady, certain. "They didn't stand a chance," I said. "Not while I'm here." He nodded, went to bed, and within minutes was asleep. Tomorrow would be calm. And the next day. And the next. For the first time in a long time, our life wasn't about survival. It was about living. And we were just getting started. Liam fell asleep without fear for the first time in years. the hallway finally silent in a way that felt earned. I stood there a moment, realizing the war was over, and we'd won. Not by luck, not by mercy, but by truth. Kelly would face justice. Eva would rebuild or crumble on her own. But Liam? He'd reclaimed his life. As I turned off the light, he murmured, half asleep. "We're okay now, right?" "Yeah," I whispered. "We're okay. And we always will be."